Hello, I hope you're doing well and that you're ready for June, or at least that you're ready for this June plan with me. In this video, I'm going to show you how I set up my bullet journal for June, as well as all of my weekly spreads. As you can see, I decided to jump right into the video so that I don't bore you too much with my super long introduction. And I pretty much started out by spelling June with letters that I cut up from scrapbooking paper and cutting up some black and white printouts that I actually plan to use for this spread or possibly the rest of the month. Things seemed a little bit boring as they are though, so I wanted to add a little bit more of a print, and I'm doing that by trying to figure out which other scrapbooking paper I want to add to the spread. And I finally settled on a leafy print that seemed neutral enough to go with the lettering. Then it was time to start gluing everything down with my trusty glue stick. And yes, I do realize that the calendar I'm using is not actually for June, or rather, I didn't realize it as I was filming the video, but I realized it later and I do fix it. It's not as good as it would have been if I had printed it out the correct way to begin with, but what can you do? I also thought that adding a little bit of brown kraft paper under the calendar really helped to blend it in better with the June lettering. Since, some of the letters are also brown and kind of really match the color of the kraft paper. Also, I really like adding more textures to my spreads, and that produced that effect. Then it was pretty much just a matter of adding a few extra details to make the spread more interesting, and those extra details are in the forms of stickers and washi tape. For stickers, I ended up settling on a moon and a mushroom, just because I thought that they really helped to match the colors in the rest of the spread. As for washi tape, I went with tape that I used on probably half of my spreads, so maybe you're tired of seeing it. Clearly I'm very original when I find something that I like. In any case, it's this black washi tape with some gold stars and moons on it, and I just really like how it looks, and it goes with most of my spreads, or possibly I think that it does. And finally, it was time to fix my calendar mix-up, and I pretty much did that by just printing out the little June calendar and gluing that right on top. It covered up a few of the vines. I don't think it actually ended up looking that bad, and at least I have the correct calendar, so yay! For my next spread, I knew I wanted to use this black floral scrapbook paper piece, mostly because I thought that it would go really well with the pink cherry blossom washi tape that I really wanted to use for a lot of my bullet journaling this month, just because, well, it's that time of the year, at least here, and I really like how cherry blossoms look when they bloom. Also, I am definitely not going to get to see them in person because of all the coronavirus situation, which I tend to avoid talking about just because I know it can be triggering for some people, and look at me, just did. Oops. In any case, I am not going to get to see the cherry blossoms when they actually do bloom, so I thought it would be a nice little reminder of what they look like and that they are out there blooming even if I can't actually see them. Unfortunately, as you can see, the scrapbook paper did not work out, but the cherry blossom washi tape did, so yay! And because my spread was looking a little plain, I decided that the thing it needed was a little black and white and pink collage of photos and one single sticker on the right. By the way, I'm not sure if you caught that, but that pink flower photo is actually just a black and white photo that I printed on pink construction paper. And I did that because I only have a black and white printer, but I still want to have a little bit of color in my bullet journal. And I pretty much just don't have enough stickers to make that happen without doing this. Also, construction paper is pretty cheap, or at least cheaper than a new printer, so that's a win too. This next spread is actually one that I'm really proud of, despite the fact that it's actually really simple, just because I really like how it turned out, and also I use the word really quite a bit. Because apparently my vocabulary skills are taking a nap right now. As for the spread, I pretty much just tore out two identical cherry blossom tree pictures, except one was printed on pink paper and one was printed on white paper, glued them on a black backing, which is pretty much just black wrapping paper that I glued onto the page, just to give them a little bit more contrast. and added some nice little silver stars around it just to give it a little bit more of a ethereal vibe. And since that pretty much covered up the entire left side of the page, and since, as I said, I really liked how it looked and I didn't want to make my spread too busy, I marked the days of the week on the right just in black marker, and I only used the first letter, again, to keep things simple. For this next spread, I did something that I actually very rarely do, and I just grabbed things and sort of arranged them, but really just started gluing them down when I thought that things might work out for the best. And I think they did. I pretty much just layered some of the pictures that I printed out with, well, each other and some black paper. And I added some gold washi tape and a butterfly sticker in the right corner, just because that corner seemed very, very empty and sad and lonely without them. The rest of the spread I'm pretty much just matching to what I already have going on, and I'm using black lettering to match the black kraft paper and the black and white photos, a little bit of pink washi tape to match the little pink strip of flowers, a little bit of purple washi tape to match the minuscule amounts of lilac-y purple that I have in the butterfly sticker, and some gold stars because I like to add stars to everything and because it matches the minuscule amount of gold that I have in my little gold piece of washi tape at the bottom. And it makes things shiny! So that's always a plus for me. For this spread, I decided to pull out my spring quote, just because, well, a large portion of June is in fact in spring, and I really like spring, so why not? Plus, I wouldn't be able to use this quote after that, so I didn't want to save it for next year. And to decorate it just a little bit more than the pattern itself provides, I decided to use a flower sticker. And because it seemed so sad and lonely, I thought that it could use a friend in the form of another quote. Or really, I just needed to place something in that empty spot of my scrapbooking paper and the quote just fit the bill. Even with the quote though, the right side still seemed kind of plain to me, so I decided to fix it with stickers. And by fix, I mean just add as many stickers as could potentially fit without covering up too much of the floral design, which I also liked. The problems of a bullet journaler. I think things worked out though, and I really like the sort of vintagey, florally, steampunky feel that the stickers add to the spread. I realize that that's a lot of words for the sticker theme, but I can't really decide on a theme. I think that they kind of go with all the things I mentioned. And also because I just can't seem to create a spread that doesn't have some shiny sparkly gold in it, I added another piece of black and gold washi tape to decorate the quote at the top. And of course, I then had to match it with gold somewhere else. So I decided to add some black and gold stripes to my days of the week portion of the spread. And here is the final spread in all its shiny, stickery glory. And yes, that is a word, I looked it up. Because, clearly it was vitally important for me to know that piece of information. Also, Google just makes it so easy that I find myself looking up the most random things online and just going down these rabbit holes of random research paths. Does that ever happen to you? Comment below if it does. So back to the spread. Here I pretty much built it around another one of those spring quotes. And since this one I printed on pink construction paper, well, I had to match that with a little bit of pink washi tape on the right and contrast that with a little bit of black. Because I actually really like the combination of pink and black. I think it really helps to toughen up what is otherwise a very, very girly color. Not that there's anything wrong with being girly, of course, it's just that it's not always my style. Every once in a while I do feel like wearing or doing or being super girly, but usually that is not the case, and if I do have something girly in my journal or outfit, then I like to toughen things up. Here I thought that the black did that rather nicely, and I pretty much just went with that color scheme for the rest of the spread, except for that little bit of silver that I added for the stars, but again, I also added black ones, so it doesn't really count, right? Following the same pattern, I wrote the days of the week in black on pink washi tape. And this actually marked the first time that I wrote the days of the week on washi tape, but I really like the look and you will see this again. For this spread, I decided to go with something really simple, and you'll actually see later that that kind of backfired and it ended up being my least favorite spread of all the spreads that I've done for this month. But I still like it enough, it's just my least favorite. Here I pretty much decided that I would use a torn piece of black paper as backing for my colorful piece of scrapbooking paper. That I would pretty much outline the days of the week, or rather the spacing for the days of the week, with washi tape that matched the geometric design. And I realized much later that that washi tape actually said XOXO. Oh well. I mean, maybe it's geometric and they didn't actually mean XOXO, maybe they did. In any case, it is what it is, and when I realized how plain this spread was looking, I decided to spice it up a little bit and add some vines, which may or may not have made things worse now that I'm looking back at it, but I added the vines, and well, at least the vines matched the black colors of the craft paper. And they definitely made things a little bit more interesting, so why not? This is actually another one of these spreads where I decided to just go with the flow and start gluing things down before I had everything perfectly arranged just the way I liked it. And I did that because I actually found that the first time I did that it actually worked out nicely, so I thought I would try that out again. Also, I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I thought that I would just figure it out as I went along, and I did. In the end, going for it ended up being just a little collage of craft paper and pink photos and little pieces of washi placed randomly in colors that sort of matched the rest of the theme. And this was the moment when I thought that the thing that this spread really needed was a little piece of craft paper with some pink flowers and vines drawn on it. And you'll see that I actually did not end up using that in this spread, but I kept this part in because I do end up using a piece of this in a later spread, and several pieces of it I still have lying on my table. But of course, it's not clutter if I'm actually going to end up using them, right? Right? She asked, hoping for the best, but knowing what the answer really is. Clearly I was very attached to my little florally drawings, possibly because I haven't picked up a paintbrush in many years, and this was my first attempt. So I pretty much just struggled to put them in somewhere in the spread until I finally realized that it's not gonna happen, and I pretty much just need to give up and pull out some trusty stickers instead and fix the situation. And the final detail of the spread was actually writing the days of the week on pieces of craft paper. And I was really proud of myself for doing this because, well, I thought it matched so well with the craft paper at the bottom. And then I realized that I actually smudged the Friday. This was not the first mistake that I made in my bullet journal, and it definitely won't be the last. So I decided to just go with it and hope for the best. Maybe I will forget that it's there later. And here I am trying to use the same pieces of craft paper that I drew on from the previous spread, just because, well, pretty much for all the reasons I mentioned. But I actually do succeed this time, and I used a tiny little piece with some vines on the right. Still, I really like how it turned out, so it's not a total loss. And I think it actually creates a nice contrast with the much more refined rose floral sticker. And to match the brown tones of the craft paper, I actually added another piece of craft paper right under the floral scrapbooking paper that I used to make the left side of my spread a little bit more interesting. And of course, the final touch was my vintagey, steampunky, florally stickers that I used in a previous spread and was just as descriptive about last time. And because in the last spread I really liked writing the days of the week on craft paper, I pretty much just repeat that here. Also, it luckily matches all the other craft paper I'm using in this spread. But this time I learned my lesson and I first glued down the pieces of craft paper and then actually write on them. Because, well, I didn't want to repeat the super smudgy experience of the previous spread. And yes, I do still remember, and yes, it does still bother me. This time I decided to write the days of the week in a sort of dark coppery tone though, to match the rest of the brownish colors in the spread. For my last spread, I had this little piece of scrapbooking paper left over from something else, and since it was pink and green, I decided that I was going to use it here, since I was already using a lot of pink. And the green was a nice little touch. I didn't have a pink and green spread this month yet. Also, this was my last spread of the month, so I was honestly kind of tired and I wanted to keep things simple, so what's simpler than adding some pink and green washi tape in matching colors to the right to decorate the spread a little bit more, and adding a large sticker to, well, pull everything together. I wasn't quite sure how to arrange the butterflies, but in the end I decided to place them in the bottom left corner as if they're sort of flying towards the flower at the top right corner of the spread. And I did mention that I really liked how writing the days of the week on the washi tape looks in a spread, so I decided to do that here by doing that in gold on some sort of teal colored washi tape that matches the rest of the colors in this spread. And as I mentioned, that was the last spread. So other than the final flip through that I'm currently going to show you, this is it for this video. And I really hope that you liked it, and thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing June. Be you, always. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!